Hello, I'm Pat O'Hare, Chief Market Analyst for Briefing.com. In this Learning Center segment, we'll delve into 5 spread relationships, telling you how certain spreads are measured, what they are telling us, and why they matter to the market. The first item is the TED spread. It is measured by taking the difference between 3-month LIBOR and the rate on the 3-month Treasury bill. LIBOR stands for the London Interbank Offered Rate, and it is the rate commercial banks outside the U.S. charge each other for short-term loans. The TED spread is a measure of liquidity and an indication of credit risk. The reason it matters to the market is that a widening spread suggests liquidity is being taken out of the market as banks grow reluctant to lend to one another due to growing fear of default risk. It is seen as a harbinger of the need, or lack thereof, for central banks to inject cash into the system. The second item is the TIPS spread, which is the difference between 10-year nominal Treasury notes, that is, the 10-year note that you hear most often quoted in the press, and 10-year Treasury inflation-protected securities, which is the basis for the TIPS acronym. The TIPS spread is a measure of inflation expectations. For example, if the spread is 200 basis points, the market is saying it expects inflation to increase at a 2% annual rate over the next 10 years. This spread matters to the market because a widening spread indicates increased worry about inflation, whereas a narrowing spread reflects decreased worries about inflation. The TIPS spread is a window for the Fed to gauge inflation expectations, and thus it can help influence the direction of monetary policy. The third item is the mortgage spread, which is the difference between the 30-year Freddie Mac fixed-rate mortgage rate and the 10-year Treasury note. This spread measures the market's perception of risk in the mortgage-backed securities market. If demand for mortgage-backed securities decreases, as seen in a widening spread, it implies there will be less liquidity in the housing market to help originate more loans. This understanding is why the market watches the mortgage spread closely. The fourth item is the swap spread. It is measured by taking the difference between a swap rate and the yield of a Treasury security with the same maturity. A swap, incidentally, is an agreement between two parties to exchange fixed for variable rate interest payments for a set period. The swap spread offers an indication of how the market feels about credit risk. Hence, it can be used to gauge risk appetite as it provides a sense of the market's thinking on counterparty repayment capabilities. The fifth item, finally, is the yield spread. It is measured by taking the difference between a long-term rate and the short-term rate on the Treasury yield curve. The difference between the 10-year Treasury note and the 2-year Treasury note is typically the spread relationship that gets the most attention. The spread between these two instruments reflects sentiment on the economic outlook. The yield spread matters to the market since it is typically interpreted as a harbinger of economic growth, albeit not a perfect one, with a narrowing or negative spread seen as a sign of impending weakness and a wider spread seen as a portent of growth. Note, however, that in times of uncertainty, a flight to the quality of U.S. Treasury securities can skew the thinking on the economic meaning of the spread relationship. We hope this has helped you gain a better understanding of some of the more widely talked about spread relationships. I'm Pat O'Hare for Briefing.com. Thanks for listening.